Chapter 1. Roots and Shadows. The rain tapped against the small kitchen window as Maybelle stirred the pot of soup. The scent of carrots, onions, and thyme filled the air, comforting, simple, and warm. "Stir slowly, sweetheart," Nana Rose said from her chair by the stove. "You rush the pot and it'll think you're impatient." May grinned, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "I didn't know pots had feelings." "They do, if you want your food to taste right," Nana Rose said, her eyes twinkling. "Food listens to your heart, you know. Angry hands make bitter soup." May giggled, then turned serious. "Then Mama's soup must taste terrible." The words hung in the air. Nana Rose sighed softly, setting down her knitting. "Your Mama's heart isn't angry, love. It's just tired."
Tired. That was the word Nana always used. But May wasn't sure tired was enough to describe her mother. Emma was a ghost of a woman, beautiful but distant, always wearing perfume and hope like armor. She'd leave for days, dressed in her best, saying, "Mama, I'm going to see Julian today. He said he misses me." She always came back quieter. That evening, as thunder rolled outside, the front door creaked open. Emma stood there, her umbrella dripping, her eyes rimmed red. "Evening, Ma," she murmured. "Evening," Nana said calmly. "You've had a long day." Emma's gaze drifted toward May. "You've grown again," she said faintly. "I'm the same height as last week," May replied, hopeful for conversation. Emma smiled thinly, brushing a curl from May's forehead. "Maybe so." Nana poured her a bowl of soup. "Sit, eat." "It'll warm you," Emma hesitated. "I'm not hungry." "You never are," Nana muttered under her breath. But Emma sat anyway, spooning broth mechanically. May watched her, wanting to say something, anything, that might keep her mother here a little longer. "Mama, did you see him today?" she asked. Emma froze, spoon halfway to her lips. "Yes." "Did he say anything about me?" A flicker of pain crossed Emma's face. "He asked if you're doing well in school." Nana's brow furrowed. "Did he now?" Emma ignored her mother. "He's busy, May. He's got a lot on his plate. Big meetings, important things." "But I could visit him," May said eagerly. "Maybe he'd like that." Emma's hand trembled, clinking her spoon against the bowl. "No. He has his own family. His wife wouldn't understand," May frowned. "But aren't we his family?" Silence. The rain outside filled the room again. Emma set the spoon down and pressed a hand to her temple. "Not exactly, May." "It's complicated." Nana Rose stood abruptly, taking the empty bowl to the sink. "No child should have to understand such complications," she said sharply. "Eat your soup, Emma, before it gets cold." Emma's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "You think I don't know what I've done wrong, Ma?" "I think you've forgotten who you are," Nana replied softly. Emma rose and walked to the window, looking out into the rain. "I loved him," she whispered. "I still do. Even after all these years." "And he loved himself," Nana said bluntly. "That man made you a shadow in your own story." Maybelle looked between them, confused. "Why can't he just come live with us?" "We have enough room," Emma turned, kneeling before her daughter. "Because, my darling, sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes people choose the life they should live, not the one they want." May didn't understand, but she nodded anyway. Emma smiled faintly, kissed her forehead, and stood. Later that night, as May lay in bed, she heard the quiet murmur of her mother and grandmother arguing in the kitchen. "You're wasting your life waiting for him," Nana's voice said, low and tired. "You don't understand, Ma." "He promised." "He's been promising for 10 years, and what has he given you?" "A child he won't claim, and tears that never dry." May clutched her pillow, heart thudding. "I can't just stop loving him," Emma whispered. "Then at least learn to love yourself, child." There was silence after that. Only the ticking of the clock and the patter of the rain. The next morning, Emma was gone again. Chapter 2. The weight of secrets. The summer air carried the scent of freshly mown grass as May walked through the garden with Nana Rose, her small hands brushing against the tops of the flowers. The sun warmed her back, but the pit in her stomach never seemed to leave. "May, you're quiet today," Nana said, adjusting the straw hat on her head. I just wish things were different," May admitted, plucking a marigold. "Mama seems so sad all the time. And Papa," she hesitated, not wanting to speak the name aloud. "He doesn't even notice me." Nana Rose stopped walking, taking May's hands in hers. "Julian," May nodded. "He has other families, Nana." "I saw pictures once, and letters." Nana's face tightened. She had always tried to shield May from the full truth, but it was no secret that Julian had many women, many children. "Yes," she said softly, "he does. But he doesn't make you any less important, May." May's voice shook. "I'm not important to him. He barely knows I exist. Mama spends all her time chasing him, and I just watch." "You watch because you have a heart," Nana said, brushing a strand of hair from May's face. "And hearts like yours notice things. But notice this too. You are not your mother's sorrow, and you are not Julian's choices. You are your own person." May looked down at her feet. "But I feel stuck. Like I'll never be enough." Nana knelt beside her. "Listen, child. You've already survived more than most. Your mother, for all her flaws, loved you, and I've watched you grow strong, even when she couldn't be the mother you needed." "But she could be happy," May said bitterly. "She could have had him all to herself." "Why did he have to?" she faltered. "Because some people can't love without thinking of themselves first," Nana said. "Julian is one of those people." May clenched her fists. "And Mama? She just let him do it. She let him hurt her, and now I'm here, feeling it too." Nana sighed, pulling May into a hug. "Emma loved him, yes. But she forgot to love herself. That's the only mistake you mustn't repeat. Promise me you'll never let someone make you a shadow in your own life." "I promise," May whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. Months passed, and May saw the cracks in her mother's spirit widen. Emma's trips to Julian grew longer, and when she returned, she was quieter, her eyes haunted. May found herself spending more nights with Nana, learning how to bake bread, mend clothes, and plant seeds that would bloom the next year. One evening, Emma came home with a letter clutched in her hand. She flopped onto the couch, exhausted. "Another invitation," she muttered. "To where?" May asked. "Julian's family estate."
Emma said bitterly. "He wants me there this weekend to meet his new mistress. Can you imagine?" May's jaw tightened. "Mama, you can't go. It's not right." Emma laughed hollowly. "Right? There's no right, May. There's only what he allows. And I allow myself to hurt." Nana's eyes met May's. "Let me handle this, dear. Go to your room." May stayed silent, retreating to the small bedroom she shared with a bookshelf full of stories. She hugged her knees, staring out at the darkening garden. She wanted to scream, to run away, to change everything, but she felt powerless. Later that night, Nana Rose came to her room, sitting on the edge of her bed. "May, listen to me carefully," she said. "You will grow up and face men like your father. You will meet people who disappoint you, but you will also meet people who lift you up, who see you for who you truly are. And you will have a choice, to stay stuck or to choose yourself." I don't know if I can," May whispered. "You can," Nana said firmly, "because your heart is stronger than you think. And because you will. One day, you'll see it." May curled up under her blanket that night, the words sinking in. The world was unfair. Her mother was trapped in her sorrow, And her father, Julian, would never be the man she needed. But somewhere deep inside, a tiny flame of determination sparked. A flame that, one day, would carry her far beyond the shadows of her family's secrets.
Chapter 3: Loss and Resolve. The winter wind howled outside the little house as May sat by the window, watching frost spread like silver lace across the glass. Her breath made small clouds in the cold air. Nana Rose had wrapped herself in a shawl and was humming softly while knitting, the sound of needles clicking a steady rhythm against the silence. Emma hadn't come home in 3 days. May tried not to ask anymore. The answers always hurt. But that morning, as the gray light crept into the kitchen, she finally spoke. "Nana, do you think Mama's coming home today?" Nana paused mid-stitch. "I hope so, sweetheart." Her tone said, "I don't know." "She's been gone longer this time," May murmured. "Maybe he—" She stopped, unwilling to say his name. "Maybe he asked her to stay?" Nana sighed. "Maybe he asked her to go." May turned away from the window. "She loves him, Nana. Why doesn't he love her back?" Nana put down her knitting, her hands trembling slightly from age and anger she'd long learned to hide. Because love isn't always kind, and not every man knows what to do with a good woman. The door creaked open then. A sudden gust of icy air swept into the house. Emma stood in the doorway, her hair disheveled, eyes red, coat unbuttoned. Her perfume couldn't hide the smell of cigarette smoke clinging to her. "Emma," Nana said, rising from her chair, "you look like you've walked through a storm." "I have," Emma said faintly. She dropped her bag onto the floor and rubbed her temples. "It's over, Ma." Nana's brow furrowed. "Over?" Emma nodded. "He said he can't see me anymore. His wife found out about his mistresses." Her voice cracked on the last word. May stood frozen in the doorway to the kitchen. "Mama?" Emma looked up, eyes hollow. "Maybelle, sweetheart, come here." May walked to her slowly, unsure if she wanted to hug or scream at her. "You're crying," she whispered. Emma knelt down, her hands trembling as she cupped May's face. "I'm so sorry, baby. I should have been here more. I should have." Her voice broke. "I've wasted so many years." Nana stepped forward. "You can't fix the past, Emma, but you can start again. You can build something new, with your daughter, if you'll let yourself." Emma laughed bitterly. "Start again? With what, Ma? I have nothing. No one. I gave everything to a man who never wanted me." "You her," Nana said sharply, pointing to May. "And she's more than enough reason to live." Emma turned to May again, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're right," she whispered. "You always were, Mama." She hugged May tightly, and May felt the tremor in her mother's body, like someone trying to hold herself together with invisible thread. For a moment, May thought things might change, that maybe her mother would heal. But life rarely granted such miracles. The days that followed were quiet at first. Emma stayed home, cooking, cleaning, even humming sometimes while tending the garden with May. But soon the silence inside her returned, heavier than before. She spent hours staring out the window, eyes distant. "Maybe she just needs time," May said to Nana one evening as they washed dishes. Nana shook her head slowly. "Time doesn't heal a wound if you keep picking at it, love. Your mother's grief is deep. I've tried to reach her, but she's fading." May didn't want to believe it. She refused. But the truth was there. In every untouched meal, every night Emma didn't come to dinner. One morning, May woke to the sound of shattering glass. She ran to the kitchen and found Emma crouched on the floor, sobbing beside a broken bottle. "Mama, what happened?" Emma didn't answer. She was whispering something, over and over, words May couldn't catch. Nana appeared in the doorway, her face pale. "Emma, please," she said softly, kneeling beside her. "You need rest. Let us help you." Emma looked up, her eyes wild. "He married her again," she said, "renewed their vows. There's a picture in the paper." She gestured to a crumpled newspaper on the counter. Julian and his wife, Sophia, smiling like royalty, surrounded by their children. May's chest tightened. "He didn't even—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Emma slammed her fist on the floor. "I gave him everything, Ma. My youth, my heart, my life, and he couldn't even give me his name." Nana took her hand gently. "And you gave him too much, child. You can't love someone who's already promised to another." Emma broke down completely, collapsing into her mother's arms. "I can't breathe anymore," she sobbed. "I can't live like this." May stood frozen, tears spilling down her cheeks. She wanted to reach out, but Nana shook her head slightly, as if to say, "Not now." That night, the house was painfully still. Emma went to bed early. Nana sat awake in her chair, silent, praying. May stayed up too, listening for any sound, but none came. The next morning, the sun rose soft and pink over the horizon. May knocked on her mother's door. "Mama, breakfast?" No answer. She knocked again, harder this time. "Mama?" Still silence. Her heart started to pound. She turned the knob. The door creaked open. Emma lay still on the bed, the covers pulled up to her chin. The bottle of pills on the nightstand was empty. May's scream echoed through the house. The days that followed blurred into one long ache. People came and went, whispers, condolences, the scent of lilies. Julian never came. Not a call, not a letter. At the funeral, May stood beside Nana, her hands clenched so tight her knuckles went white. As the priest spoke of mercy and peace, May's eyes stayed fixed on the coffin. When the last word was spoken, she whispered under her breath, "I'll never forgive him." Nana squeezed her shoulder gently. "Don't waste your life on hate, child. Let her go." But May couldn't. Not yet. That night, sitting alone in her mother's room, she stared at a photograph of Julian and Emma from years ago. He was smiling, she was radiant. They looked like they belonged together, before everything went wrong. May set the picture down and said softly, "I'll never need anyone the way she needed you." It was both a promise and a curse. In the months that followed, May threw herself into school, then work. She studied late into the night, determined to earn scholarships and build her life from the ground up. Nana Rose watched with quiet pride. "You've got your mother's fire," she said one evening, "but you've got my patience too. That's a rare mix." "I'm never going to let anyone control my life," May said firmly, "not the way he did hers." Nana smiled sadly. "Love doesn't have to be control, May." "Then maybe I just won't love at all," she said. Nana didn't argue. She only looked out at the horizon as though she could already see the future unfolding, a future where her granddaughter would learn that some promises are meant to be broken. Chapter 4. The List. The rain came again that spring, soft, patient, and constant, as though the sky itself couldn't stop mourning. It had been 10 years since Emma's death. The little house on the outskirts of town had grown quieter, the corners filled with the hum of solitude. Maybelle, now in her mid-20s, worked long hours at a small publishing company downtown, commuting every morning with a thermos of coffee and her grandmother's packed lunches. Nana Rose, though older and slower, was still her anchor, her quiet strength. They had fallen into a rhythm. May worked, Nana tended the garden, and each evening they would sit on the porch with cups of tea, listening to crickets. But life has a way of thinning the thread between what is and what was. One evening, May came home to find Nana sitting by the window, her knitting abandoned on her lap. "Long day?" Nana asked, her voice faint but warm. "The longest," May sighed, kicking off her shoes. "My boss rewrote my whole proposal again, said I need to be less emotional in my writing." Nana chuckled softly. "That's the trouble with this world. People think emotions make you weak. But it's the ones who feel deeply who build the bridges the rest of us walk on." May smiled, setting down her bag. "You always know what to say." "I've had practice," Nana said, her eyes twinkling. There was silence for a moment, the kind that lives comfortably between two people who love each other. Then Nana said quietly, "May, promise me something." "Anything." "When I'm gone, don't let this house become a museum of sorrow. Let it breathe, let it live." May frowned. "Nana, don't talk like that." "I'm not planning to leave tomorrow," Nana said with a small smile, "but someday. And when that day comes, I don't want you trapped here, polishing ghosts." "I'm not going anywhere," May said, her voice suddenly tight. Nana reached out and squeezed her hand. "You will, love. You'll go further than you think." A year later, Nana Rose fell ill. It started with small things, shortness of breath, dizziness, and soon became more serious. The doctor said her heart was simply tired. May spent every spare moment by her side, bringing tea, reading aloud, sometimes just holding her hand. One night, Nana whispered, "You've done well, my girl. You've grown strong. But don't let that strength turn you to stone." May's throat tightened. "I'm not strong enough without you." "Oh, you are," Nana said. "You just don't know it yet." She smiled, that soft, knowing smile, and drifted to sleep. By morning, she was gone. The funeral was small and quiet, just as Nana would have wanted. A few neighbors, the priest from the local chapel, and May, standing in the drizzle, her umbrella trembling in her hands. As they lowered the coffin, she whispered, "Thank you for everything." When the mourners left, she stayed behind, kneeling beside the grave. "You said not to turn the house into a museum," she murmured, "but Nana, I don't know how to live in it without you." The only answer was the wind through the grass. A week later, May began sorting through Nana's things. She moved slowly, reverently, touching each scarf, each faded photo, as though they were relics of a sacred past. In the top drawer of the old mahogany desk, she found a small leather-bound notebook. The first page was dated April 3rd, 1997, and written in her grandmother's looping script. "My wish list. Things I hope to do before my time is up." May smiled faintly. "You had a wish list, Nana?" she whispered. She began to read. "Visit Paris and see the Eiffel Tower. Learn to play the piano. Go on a hot air balloon ride. Forgive someone that really hurt you. Dance in the rain without worrying who's watching. Grow a garden of nothing but roses. Watch my granddaughter find happiness." There was a small check mark beside only one. Grow a garden of nothing but roses. May laughed softly through her tears. "Of course, you did that one." She flipped to the last page. In smaller, shakier handwriting, Nana had added, "If I don't finish these, maybe someone else can, someone with my heart." May pressed her palm against the
May pressed her palm against the page. Someone with your heart, she whispered. That's me, isn't it? She looked around the room, the worn furniture, the smell of lavender, the clock that ticked on despite the silence. And something stirred inside her. A spark. A purpose. That night, May sat at the kitchen table, the notebook open before her, a candle burning low beside it. Paris, she read aloud. You always wanted to see it, Nana. I will, she paused, smiling sadly. Even if I have to learn to love the world the way you did, one wish at a time. She made herself a cup of tea and wrote at the bottom of the page, I'll do this for you, and for me. Over the next few months, May began saving money, taking on freelance editing work and extra shifts. She pinned the wish list to her fridge, ticking off items one by one. The first thing she did was learn to play piano. She took lessons from an old teacher named Mrs. Levin, who lived down the street and smelled of jasmine and chalk dust. You've got nimble fingers, Mrs. Levin said during their second lesson. Who taught you patience? My grandmother, May replied with a smile. Then she taught you well, Mrs. Levin said, tapping the keys. Play with your heart, not your fear. May practiced every evening, the sound of hesitant melodies slowly turning into music. And one evening, as she played a simple waltz, she looked up at her grandmother's photograph on the mantel. I think you'd like this one, she said softly. Her second goal was harder. Forgive someone who never said sorry. That one haunted her. She sat on her bed one night, holding an old photograph of Julian. He hadn't called, hadn't sent a letter, not even when Nana died. The thought of him still burned. You'll never know what you lost, she whispered. But I do. She opened her drawer and placed the picture inside. Months later, she began planning her trip to Paris, the first flight of her life. She stood at the airport, nervous but excited, clutching Nana's notebook in her hand. As the plane took off, she looked out the window, watching the world shrink below her. Here we go, Nana, she whispered. We're flying. The city was everything her grandmother had dreamed of. Lights shimmering on the Seine, violins in the streets, the Eiffel Tower glowing like gold at night. May stood beneath it, tears in her eyes, and said aloud, We made it. For the first time in years, she felt truly alive. And that was how it began. One dream at a time, one memory reborn. What May didn't know was that the next item on the list, dance in the rain without worrying who's watching, would be the one that changed her life forever. Because that was the day she would meet him. Chapter 5. Journeys and Gentle Hearts. The rain came without warning, soft at first, then heavy and insistent, drenching the park in a shimmer of silver. May laughed as she ran across the grass, clutching Nana's notebook under her coat. She had been on her way home from a piano recital when the clouds broke open. The streets emptied, but she didn't run for cover. Instead, she stopped beneath the old oak tree and tilted her face to the sky. This one's for you, Nana, she whispered. Dance in the rain without worrying who's watching. And so she did. Her shoes sank into puddles, her hair plastered to her face. She spun and laughed, arms wide, heart bursting with something like freedom. For the first time in years, she wasn't careful. She wasn't guarded. She just was. Hey! The voice came from across the path. A man stood holding a large black umbrella, staring at her in amused disbelief. You're going to catch your death out here, he called. May grinned, breathless. Maybe. But I'm having fun first. He hesitated, then stepped closer, holding the umbrella out toward her. At least take this. I'm fine, she said, laughing. You'll get soaked if you keep standing there. He smiled. Guess that makes two of us. Something about the way he said it made her stop spinning. He wasn't mocking her. He was intrigued. He stepped closer until he was standing beside her, the umbrella useless now since both were drenched. You've got courage, he said. Most people hide from the rain. I've hidden enough for one lifetime, she said softly. He studied her for a moment, really looked at her. I'm Alex, he said finally, extending a hand. May, she said, shaking it. Her palm was cold and slick with rain, but his hand was warm. May, he repeated, as if testing the sound. Nice to meet you, fearless in the rain. She laughed. It's on my resume. They walked together toward the cafe at the corner, steam fogging the windows as they stepped inside. The scent of coffee and cinnamon wrapped around them like comfort. They found a small table by the window. May wrung out her hair with a napkin. Alex ordered 2 cappuccinos without asking what she wanted. Sorry, he said when the waiter left. Habit. I always order 2 of those when I'm with someone new. If they hate it, I drink both. She smiled. That's an impressive strategy. Survival technique, he said with a grin. I work with kids. They change their minds every 30 seconds. You're a teacher? Sort of. I run youth programs, art, music, that kind of thing. Her eyebrows rose. Music? He nodded. Yeah, I play guitar, a little piano. What about you? May hesitated. I've been learning piano recently. Really? For fun? For someone, she said quietly. Someone who taught me to chase what I love. He didn't pry. He just smiled, a gentle, patient smile that reminded her of home. When the coffees came, they talked for hours, about travel, about music, about what it meant to start over. Alex told stories about kids who painted murals on brick walls and how he once broke his arm teaching skateboarding. May found herself laughing more than she had in years. You've got a great laugh, he said suddenly. She looked down, embarrassed. I don't laugh much. You should, he said simply. It suits you. Days passed, and they kept meeting, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose. A walk through the farmer's market, a Sunday at the art fair, a late-night phone call about a movie they'd both watched. May didn't notice it happening at first, but her world began to stretch again. Colors sharper, sounds warmer. Alex was like sunlight through the cracks she'd built around herself. One evening, as they sat on the park bench watching the sunset, he asked, So, May, what's the story behind that little notebook you always carry? Her heart fluttered. She'd never told anyone before. It was my grandmother's, she said. A wish list. Things she wanted to do before she died. I'm finishing them for her. He smiled softly. That's beautiful. What's left? She opened the notebook, flipping through pages dotted with small check marks. Hot air balloon ride, she said. That's the last one. He looked up at the sky, streaks of orange and violet stretching above them. A balloon ride, huh? Sounds poetic. She always wanted to see the world from above. Said it would remind her how small troubles look from the sky. Alex nodded thoughtfully. She sounds wise. She was, May said. She's the reason I'm still here, really. Alex looked at her, long, quiet, and kind. I'm glad you are. May turned away, cheeks warming. You barely know me. True, he said with a grin, but I'd like to. Over the next few months, May found herself smiling at random moments, in line for coffee, at work, while walking home under streetlights. It wasn't that Alex had solved her loneliness, it was that he met it without judgment. Weeks later, as they stood on a hillside overlooking the city, Alex handed her an envelope. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside was a pair of tickets. Hot Air Balloon Festival, Sunday, 6 a.m. May gasped. You didn't... He grinned. I did. You said it was the last thing on the list, right? I thought your grandmother might want to see the world one last time. Her throat tightened. Alex, He pressed a finger to her lips. Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen the view, May laughed through her tears. You're unbelievable. I've been told worse. That night, May stood by her window, looking up at the stars. The notebook lay open on her desk, the candlelight flickering across the last unchecked wish. She traced the words with her fingertip and whispered, We're almost there, Nana. She smiled. Chapter 6. The sky of promise. The world was still half asleep when May pulled into the meadow. Mist clung to the grass like breath, soft and silvery under the dawn. Alex was already there, standing beside a bright patchwork balloon that swelled slowly with air. He waved when he saw her. "Morning!" he called, grinning. "You're just in time." They're firing it up. May managed a small smile as she walked toward him. She'd barely slept, not from excitement, but from nerves that tangled in her stomach all night. When she reached him, Alex offered his hand to help her into the basket. She hesitated, then climbed in without taking it. He noticed, but said nothing. The balloon creaked and lifted, the ground slipping away beneath them. May's breath caught as the world stretched out below. Green fields, silver rivers, the distant outline of rooftops. "It's beautiful," Alex said quietly beside her. "Exactly how I imagined." May nodded, her fingers gripping the edge of the basket. "Yeah, it is." She should have felt pure joy, the satisfaction of completing Nana's list, of fulfilling every dream her grandmother had once whispered about. But instead, her chest felt tight. Alex looked at her. "Hey," he said softly. "You okay?" She swallowed hard. "I don't know." He tilted his head. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Everything," she forced a laugh. I didn't think it would feel like this." "Like what?" "Like saying goodbye." He frowned gently. "You mean to her?" May nodded. "This list, it's all I had left of her. Now it's done." Alex's eyes softened. Maybe finishing it isn't saying goodbye. Maybe it's carrying her forward. May looked at him then, really looked at him, and something in his expression made her heart ache. He was so steady, so open, and she was terrified of that. She turned away quickly. "You don't understand," she whispered. "You can't." "Try me." She shook her head. "I can't do this, Alex." He blinked. "Do what?" "This," she said, gesturing between them. "Whatever this is." You're too kind, too patient. It feels safe and dangerous at the same time. And I can't. I can't do this, May," he said quietly. "I know there's something between us. You must feel it too, right?" She flinched. "I really like you. Can you give us a chance?" "Please?" Her throat tightened. "You don't get it." "My mother loved a man who didn't love her back. She waited her whole life for him to choose her, and he broke her little by little. I grew up thinking love meant pain. I swore I'd never let anyone close enough to hurt me." Alex listened, not interrupting. She swallowed hard. "Then you showed up in the rain." "I wasn't supposed to feel anything anymore," she said, voice trembling. "But you make it feel easy." Alex's eyes softened. "That's what love should be, May? Easy doesn't mean perfect, it just means honest." I can't go through what my mother did." Alex was silent for a moment. The wind tugged at his hair. The flame hissed above them. "May," he said quietly, "I'm not your father." "I know that," she swallowed. "Then stop letting his choices decide what you deserve." "My mother loved a man who broke her. I can't be that woman." "You're not her," Alex said firmly. "She thought that too once." He sighed softly, then leaned against the edge of the basket. "You think love always ends in pain? I think it's a risk I can't afford." He nodded slowly, accepting the answer, even though it clearly hurt. "Then I'll wait," he said simply. May blinked. "Wait. I'm not asking you to jump, May. I'm asking you to walk at your pace. I'll be here, whether it's as a friend or something more. No pressure, no deadlines." Her heart stuttered. She wanted to believe him, but her walls had been built from years of broken promises. The rest of the ride passed in silence, the kind that felt thick with words unsaid. That evening, May sat at her kitchen table, the notebook open in front of her. Almost every item checked, almost every dream fulfilled. Except two: forgive someone that really hurt you, and the one that wasn't written down but lingered between the lines. To be happy. She stared at the page until her vision blurred. Then she reached for her phone. Her thumb hovered over Alex's name. She wanted to call, to tell him she was sorry, that she was scared but didn't want to lose him. But her chest clenched at the thought. She didn't want to admit it out loud, but she was lonely. She had avoided every man that ever wanted to date her. She thought she could continue that way, but after Nana rose, her heart felt empty. She had no one to rely on, but Alex seemed so reliable, so dependable, and she found herself wanting to let him in. She was scared, though, so she put the phone down and cried. Days turned into weeks. Alex didn't call, just as he'd promised. But he sent little things sometimes, a postcard from a place he'd visited with the kids, a text about a song he thought she'd like, a photo of a street musician playing the piano. He wasn't chasing her. He was showing up quietly, consistently. One rainy afternoon, she walked past the community center where Alex worked. Through the window, she saw him sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by laughing children painting on canvas. He had a streak of blue paint across his cheek, and he was laughing too, that open, wholehearted laugh she'd come to love. Something in her chest cracked open. She stepped inside. He looked up, surprised but smiling. "Hey, stranger." "Hey," she said, voice soft. "Looks like fun." He gestured at the chaos. "Controlled fun. You want to join?" She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "I can try." When the kids left, they cleaned up together. The air smelled like paint and laughter. "I got your postcard," she said quietly. "Yeah?" "I liked it. Especially the quote on the back." He grinned. "The one about courage?" "Courage doesn't always roar," she recited. "Sometimes it's the quiet voice that says I'll try again tomorrow." He nodded. "It reminded me of you." May's eyes softened. "You shouldn't wait for me, Alex." "I'm not waiting," he said. "I'm living. You're just part of it now." She exhaled shakily. "You make it sound so easy." "It's not," he admitted, "but it's real." Silence settled, gentle this time. Then, slowly, she reached for his hand. "Maybe," she whispered, "I could try again tomorrow." His thumb brushed over her knuckles. "That's all I ask." Chapter 7. The Last Reconciliation. It was a crisp morning when the call came. Maybelle was at her desk, revising a manuscript, when her phone vibrated. The name that flashed made her heart stop. Julian Hartwell. She stared at it for a long moment, her fingers frozen above the keyboard. Her first instinct was to ignore it, but something in the way her chest twinged when she hesitated made her hand tremble as she pressed accept. "May, it's me," Julian said, his voice unsteady, almost brittle. I don't have much time. I'm very sick." May felt the air leave her lungs. "Why are you calling me now?" she asked, her voice shaking. I need to see you," he whispered. "I need to make things right before it's too late." The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and flowers. Julian lay in the large bed, frail, a thin blanket covering him. Machines beeped softly, but the room was quiet, almost peaceful. May entered slowly, the weight of years pressing down on her chest. She stopped a few feet from the bed, her eyes meeting the man who had haunted her childhood. Julian's eyes widened. "Maybelle," he breathed. She froze. He leaned forward slightly, his weak hand trembling. You look exactly like her." May blinked, emotions colliding. "Like, Mom?" "Yes," he whispered, tears forming in the corners of his eyes. "Every time I close my eyes, I see her. Your mother. I see her smile, her laugh, the way she loved me." May swallowed hard, her chest tight. You never loved me," she said quietly. "You never even acknowledged I existed." Julian shook his head slowly, a tear slipping down his pale cheek. "I loved you both, more than I could bear to admit. But my parents, they pressured me to marry someone else. I tried to live their life, not mine. I failed Emma, and you, May." May's eyes narrowed slightly. "You had a choice, didn't you? You could have refused them. You could have chosen her. Us. Julian bowed his head, voice trembling. I know. And every day I regretted it. I should have fought harder. My wife didn't deserve my dishonesty either. We never loved each other. I had other women after her too. 2 other mistresses. They gave me children. But none loved me like Emma did. None ever looked at me the way she did, with pure heart and devotion. And I didn't deserve it. May's hands clenched, but her tears came anyway. So you hurt her, and you hurt me. I know, he whispered, and I can't change the past. But I want you to know, I loved her, truly. And sometimes I wish I had gone against my parents, that I had married her, that I had given you a life with a father who cared. May's vision blurred as the room spun with emotion. She fell to her knees beside him. You don't know how much that would have meant, she said, her voice breaking. But I can't live in the past. I've learned to live my life my way. But hearing you say this, it matters somehow. Julian's hand shook as he reached for hers. Can you forgive me, Maybelle? Not because I deserve it, but because I need peace before I leave this world. May looked into his eyes, tired, remorseful, human, and something inside her softened. The anger that had held her captive all these years loosened. I forgive you, she whispered, tears streaming. I forgive you for everything. I forgive you for Mama, for me, for all of it. He wept silently, a mixture of relief and sorrow. Thank you, he breathed. Thank you for letting me see that some part of me still mattered. May nodded, resting her forehead against his. You mattered once, she said softly, but now, I'm alive. I'm free, and I will live for both of us. They held hands for a long while. Julian's eyes closed, a small, peaceful smile on his lips. May felt her heart ache, but it was a healing ache, a closing of old wounds. Before she left the hospital, she whispered, Goodbye, Dad. Find your peace. And she stepped out into the morning sun, feeling lighter than she had in years. A few months later, they returned to the same meadow where it all began. The grass glowed gold under the setting sun. I wanted to show you something, May said, handing him the worn notebook. He flipped through the pages, smiling at the notes and dates she'd scribbled beside each wish. You did it, he said softly. She nodded. We did. He looked at her, eyes warm. So what now? She smiled, closing the notebook. I think it's time to start a new list. Oh yeah? He teased. What's first? She met his gaze, steady this time, sure. To stop being afraid. And when he leaned in, she didn't pull away. The sky above them burned pink and gold, and for the first time, May understood what her grandmother had meant. From up high, all troubles looked small. Love wasn't a trap. It was a choice. And this time, she chose it freely. Epilogue. Months later, May sat by her window, sunlight pouring across her desk. The new notebook lay open, the first line written in her careful handwriting. One, love without fear. Outside, Alex's laughter drifted up from the garden as he helped the neighborhood kids plant flowers. May smiled, resting her hand on the page. For the first time in her life, she wasn't living for someone else's dream. She was living her own. And that, Nana Rose would have said, was the most beautiful wish of all.